Hey guys, I just wanted to do a really quick video about the horizon from an illustrator's perspective. I just wanted to clear a few things up that I've um, heard people discussing that I wanted to elaborate on. Someone said, I forgot who it was, but someone said like, "Oh, why don't you see these kinds of lines that converge all the time? Why don't you see it all the time?" And that's a really easy question to answer. It's because there's nothing to converge. If nothing exists there that is built, they're not going to have any vanishing points, or they're not going to have any lines of convergence to a vanishing point. Um, However, or for example, if there's nothing in this field and there's a mountain here, um, but nothing here, there like nothing, like no structure here, there's not going to be any kind of diminution. So um, that's one thing I want to clear up. And also, there's a misconception that there is only one vanishing point. That's true because that's from one person's view. If you are looking here, then that is your vanishing point. However, if there are objects placed in the area, there can be infinite amounts of vanishing points. It really depends on what objects are placed in the scene and what orientation they're in. Um, of course, if you're standing in the middle of some train tracks, uh, yeah, these are going to converge to your vanishing point. However, if there's a truck over here, he might have his own vanishing points. So, yeah. All right, so let's do a quick. I started something earlier. So, here's something that I started earlier. There's a thing called atmospheric perspective that a lot of people haven't been talking about. And basically, what that is how things that are closer to you are going to have higher saturation, more vibrancy, more contrast, and oftentimes, depending on the atmospheric conditions, they could be darker and more just they'll stand out more. So you can see here, this guy right here is clearly more visible and darker and has more contrast than this other mass over here. Let's make it a little darker. Than this guy over here. And then you'll have someone over here or some other um, landmass that's a little bit lighter in the distance. And that'll keep on going. I mean, there could be a bunch of these back here, but you just can't see it because of the atmospheric perspective. Here, maybe the horizon's over here. Maybe it's higher. You can't really tell sometimes. You can't trust the visual horizon all the time. That's the bottom line. So, when the sun sets, um, it sets in many different ways. Sometimes it'll set like this, and then people will say, "Oh, it's going over the horizon. It's going over the curve of the Earth," but it's really not. If that were true, then those it doesn't make sense when you see those high altitude balloon tests. What this is the atmosphere has accumulated over distance and became a physical mass that is blocking a lot of the sun and distorting it. So that's sometimes why you see bigger suns and stuff, because there's stuff in the atmosphere magnifying it. It's like when you look at a light that's underwater. Does it stay crisp like this? No, it's doing all sorts of things. Um, Sometimes, let's see. Sometimes it sets over a mountain or something in the distance. Sometimes it's doing this thing. Doesn't mean that the vanishing point or whatever stops there. Vanishing point does not stop there. It keeps on going forever and ever. So if you're even looking at a wall, there's still a vanishing point. There's just something in your way. All right, so let's do the atmospheric one, and then of course what happens is there's usually some light changes color uh, at different elevations and different times of the day. That looks pretty nice. And of course, you can't forget that when you have a sunset like this, you're always going to have some reflections on the water. Very happens all the time. You see it, and it's never curved. We got trees down, tree brush. Yeah, maybe there's some trees here. It's a brush that I made. Bam. Maybe it's a huge one over here. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Hope that cleared a few things up. Hope it was helpful. I don't know if it was, but glad I could contribute.